Today, we're going to be ranking and discussing the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters Slate. Yes, that's right. When it comes to ranking them, we're going to rank them based on my excitement and potential. And in discussing them, we're going to be discussing all of the verified news we have on each and every project. Let's do this. So these are our tiers. We have most anticipated, can't wait, very interesting, concerned, and least anticipated. We have a release/duplicate tier, which is just because Creature Commandos came out, Superman came out, Peacemaker Season 2 came out, and Paradise Lost, I don't know why, but there is an extra image there on this tier list, so I just put it there just so we don't have to rank it twice. So let's do this. Starting with Lanterns. I am going to say that I can't wait for Lanterns. Lanterns is one of those shows where it's kind of like, I don't want to put this in terms of hype, but it's kind of equivalent to what MCU fans are dealing with Avengers Doomsday, where we don't know much about this project, right? Like, this is all we really have here, which is this article from Deadline, which is the first look at, I don't know why this is popping up, but we have this first look at Lanterns, which is literally just this image, and we have this bit of information, which is the superhero series stars Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart and Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. In the preview, Pierre's Jon Stewart says, "I've trained my whole life for this." Chandler's Hal Jordan adds, "You're not ready to get up in front of the class until the ring says you are." Hal Jordan places the ring on the dashboard and jumps out of the moving car, leaving Jon Stewart flying off a hill. In a scene later in the preview, Jon Stewart is seen running against traffic on a highway. That is all we know about this. That's it. So it's kind of like a very interesting thing as a DC fan to be able to be like, yeah, well, we don't know much about it, but the core idea of DC finally bringing back the Green Lanterns and trying to do them justice is exciting in itself. And I've been recently reading Green Lantern comics. I specifically read the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern Compendium, which was an absolute blast. I loved it. So for me, I am going to say that I can't wait for it. Next up, Supergirl. Supergirl, we've seen a whole lot of, all right? So I'm going to say I can't wait for Supergirl more so than Lanterns, because we got a full poster, we got the full trailer, we have seen pretty much enough for us to have a better idea as to what this movie is about. And more importantly, we also actually kind of have material to go off of, which is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I've read, which is fantastic, which is something that I am very excited for because I think the story is phenomenal. And I think a lot of people are going to have an absolute good time with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I'm kind of glad they dropped the subtitle, especially after James Gunn said that it's kind of loosely based off of it and it's not the core story, which is nice. And you know, I think that, as James Gunn says here with Millie Alcock, I think she's going to be great. He says, Millie Alcock might be the best bit of casting I've ever done in my entire life. I think she's absolutely stunning in the movie. After what we saw in Superman and what we've seen in the teaser, I can't help but agree. Next up, Clayface. Clayface is something where I don't want to say I'm concerned about it because I really feel like there's nothing to be concerned about, but I'm very interested. And there's a reason why I'm not putting this in can't wait, and it's very simple. We don't know much about Clayface. It is a very interesting thing where we know the movie is made. We've seen some set leaks, which of course I'm not going to put here for obvious reasons. And all we know based off of James Gunn's word, which I put this on a YouTube short, is they're still working on it. It's still on pace for it to come out in September. They're still working on the first cut. So it's like one of those things where I am interested because we know very little about it, and I do like Clayface as a character, but because we don't have much to pull off of, it's hard to really gauge what to say about Clayface other than can't wait. I'm excited to see the first teaser trailer, and I hope we at least have something to be excited about in regards to Clayface before this spring or summer, because, you know, it'd be nice to know more about this movie. Now, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is an interesting case because I can't wait for Swamp Thing because I've been a Swamp Thing fan for a very long time now, since the first original show on the previous DC Infinite, which is now DC Universe Infinite. But when DC Infinite or DC Universe first came out, the app that had the comic books, the shows, the movies, had exclusive content, a forum, I was genuinely like blown away by the Swamp Thing show they did on that platform. I think it's fantastic. I own the Swamp Thing box set. I know how well renowned and well beloved the comic is, so just based off of that alone, I am excited for Swamp Thing. But more importantly, I as much as I am excited for this and I can't wait for this and I know I'll be day one for this, it's hard for me to say anything more than that, because we know that James Mangold, who is meant to be doing the movie, which is he's the director, which we'll pull it up now. We know that James Mangold is currently working on a script for Star Wars, and for James Mangold, which I'm trying to find him now, we know that James Mangold has already turned in a script, but we don't know when it's going to be made. As it says here from Kathleen Kennedy, who just recently stepped away from Star Wars and Lucasfilm, she says, Jim Mangold and Bew Williamson wrote an incredible script, but it's definitely breaking the mold and it's on hold. That alone can be one of the things that stopped James Mangold from going into Swamp Thing and doing anything with Swamp Thing in the coming years. That seems like a project where, for DC Studios, we are going to be waiting a while, and that kind of bums me out, to say the least, because apparently he has multiple projects and he's still trying to choose what he wants to do next. But it seems like Swamp Thing is one of those projects that he wants to do, and he likely will do it, assuming he gets the time to do it. But the wait to get there is going to be a lot longer than I think most of us want to admit. So yeah, can't wait. It sucks that we have to wait a little bit longer, but it is what it is, right? Batman, Brave and the Bold. I want to say can't wait because it's Batman and I'm always down for Batman content. But for me, I feel like with Batman, I am more so at the point where I'm very interested, more so than I can't wait. For those who don't know, this is not the article. Where is the article? I'm going to have to pull it up. Give me a second here. So I found the article that I was looking for. We have the writer for Batman Brave and the Bold. I just put out a new video talking about this. Long story short, I feel like a lot of people are giving Christina Hodson and Andy Muschietti an unfair kind of opinion, or at least pushback, because, you know, The Flash has had a very troublesome production and history, and I have a whole video talking about that. I'll put a link in the description, right? But my point is, I feel like I'm interested to see what they do. I'm a fan of Birds of Prey. You know, Andy Muschietti has done a fantastic job with it, Welcome to Derry, so much so that in the article it states, let's find it, it states that he is doing a second season of it, Welcome to Derry, but more importantly, that depending on, you know, what his schedule is, he might not be able to direct Batman Brave and the Bold. So we'll see. You know, it's hard to be fully into this. Plus, we have the Batman Part 2 coming out soon. So, like, who knows where I'll be as a fan of Batman in the future in terms of, like, am I excited for this? Am I thrilled for this? Am I anticipating this heavily? But more importantly, let's see who the director is. Because, to be honest with you, this Batman Brave and the Bold could go from very interested to the top of can't wait if Sam Raimi somehow becomes the director of the movie, but that's just me. But even then, I'm still excited for this. Now, I am not sure where to put the Bane and Deathstroke movie, okay? Because, like, I'm interested in it, but I'm also kind of concerned about it. It's like in that middle part where I don't know where to put it, but it feels more fitting to put it into concerned, because realistically, we don't know much about this outside that they're getting a movie, right? Like, we know that they're going to get, where is it? Right here. We know that they're going to have a project together, and we don't know necessarily what it is going to look like. It's also coming from the person that wrote the script from Captain America, Brave New World, which is a movie that I feel like a lot of Marvel fans kind of just didn't fall in love with, despite wishing they did, right? And on top of that, there's no director on the project. If we had a director and the script was by someone that I feel like we all are like, oh my God, they wrote the script for that movie, a movie I loved, I'd be much higher about this. But it also doesn't help that there are much more interesting projects. And more importantly, we don't know exactly what this movie is. I know a lot of fans are speculating that it's going to be a Secret Six film, but we have no proof for that, right? So to me, I feel like we have to kind of just look at it and go, cool, but let's see if this happens. Let's see if someone else has to be brought in to write another script. Let's see who the director is. So I'm kind of like, I'm at an arm's length with it where I'm like, you know, you're cool. I'm going to be interested when we get to see more of it, if we get to see more of it in the near future. But at the same time, I'm kind of just like, okay, let's see if that happens. So I'm going to be a little wary of this project. So it's going to stay in concerned. Booster Gold. This is easily one of my most anticipated projects from DCU. All right. I love Booster Gold. A lot of people know this about me. I'm a Blue Beetle fan. I love Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of the first superhero comics I really started heavily reading. And he's kind of the reason why I started to really care more about other characters that are not Batman. So because of that, I feel like, you know, I have this connection with Booster Gold in terms of being excited with the fact that we're going to finally see him on the DCU, and the fact that he's getting the time of day, especially after the infamous Justice League Unlimited episode, which I adore, the greatest story never told. Also, I'm just hoping that we get to hear more about this. Like, I'm glad that we already have a recent update, which is that he is getting a script writer per deadline. We have to see here, HBO Max is progressing with its Booster Gold TV series and has attached Our Flags Means Death creator David Jenkins to write the pilot. If taken to series, we understand the plan is for Jenkins to showrun. Cool. And we also know that, you know, they've been working hard in terms of getting fantastic HBO Max series off the ground. So I have no reason to, you know, be concerned about it. I'm interested. I'm hoping that this writer ends up seeing this project through and ends up writing a good enough script that gets James Gunn to go, you know what? You deserve to showrun it in the same way, and we'll talk about this in a bit, that Tom King is showrunning the Mr. Miracle show. So, for the most part, again, most anticipated for a multitude of reasons. Still hoping that we get a few more details over the coming year, and that's pretty much it for Booster Gold. Waller. Waller is one of those things where, like, she is in my least anticipated, primarily because I've seen so much of Waller that I don't know if I need an entire series based off of Waller, unless it sets something seriously important up for the DCU. But more importantly, I'm concerned for Waller because James Gunn, even though he said he's confirming that he's still working on the series, it seems like there's other priorities, which is understandable because there's a bunch of stuff on this slate. But more importantly, he said, we're working on it, so we'll see what happens. Some things have moved faster than others. Waller's not been the fastest, but I can't wait to see Viola put on their Waller pants again. So, you know, look, he's also said apparently earlier, Peter Safran said, we've taken a couple of cracks at Waller and we haven't been able to land it. We're still working on it. Waller has been tough. The strike was tough on Waller. There was a certain amount of time that we needed to do Peacemaker first. We were going to go with Waller before Peacemaker season 2, but I wrote Peacemaker quickly and we were ready to go. So again, it feels like Waller was one of those things where it was a priority, things shifted, things got out of James Gunn and Peter Safran's hands, and who knows, depending on other projects that, you know, James Gunn may see because of people approaching him, and more importantly, other projects simply moving quicker than Waller, who knows if this is still going to be a project that happens, or who knows if this doesn't get turned into something else, and we see it become an entirely different concept or idea. But until we get a new update and until we get something that's a bit more hopeful, I'm going to leave Waller in my concerned tier. Dynamic Duo. Oh, this is, let's see what we got here. We have Teen Titans, Paradise Lost, The Authority, Man of Tomorrow, Wonder Woman. I'm gonna put it in the most anticipated. I think it deserves it. I think Dynamic Duo is such a brilliant idea on paper because they're doing something different with this project, which, as we can see here, here's a really cool project that just got greenlit at DC Studios. Let's see where we have more details. The storyline isn't connected to Matt Reeves' Batman and the Penguin canon. Also, it is not connected to the DCU either. It seems like it might be its own standalone thing. James Gunn confirmed that fairly recently, but let's see what they have to say about the project. Swaybox uses a technology known as Momo animation, which is a cross between CGI animation, practical elements of stop motion, and a live-action real-time performance. The result is long-form storytelling, billed as visually breathtaking, dynamically expressive, and more human. This is what they've had to say on this. I've wanted to make a film with Arthur and Swaybox for many years, and for that film to be Dynamic Duo, an incredibly special and unique Batman and Robin story for families is a dream, Matt Reeves said. So, you know, they're saying all the right things in terms of all the creatives involved. And more importantly, on paper, this sounds like arguably the coolest thing we may ever see as a comic book fan, because they're just doing something different, right? So for me, Dynamic Duo is going to stay in most anticipated just off of the creativity, the excitement, and everything that, people at DC Studios are saying about it. Teen Titans, I am going to put it in. Can't wait. I love Teen Titans. I feel like it's just such a 90s kid things to say. I grew up with Teen Titans. We know that Teen Titans is going to happen. However, I think the only thing that kind of is a bit disappointing is that Teen Titans is going to have to wait, because the writer, Ana Noguera, I believe is how you say it, is writing the screenplay for the project. However, according to rumors or something like that, she might be moved to Wonder Woman, right? Which we don't know if that's confirmed. If not, I'll look up an image or quote from James Gunn and put it on the screen. But my point is, it seems like this project is kind of just like in the works, and it's going to happen eventually. And just like Swamp Thing, it's going to be something that they get to. But on paper, I love Teen Titans. I grew up watching Teen Titans. Teen Titans played a big role in me being a DC fan. So for me, it has to be in the I can't wait tier. Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is going to go into my concern tier. I'm very interested, do not get me wrong, but I'm concerned about it because we've heard almost nothing about it, right? Like, we have this article here where it's an interview and James Gunn and Peter Safran kind of just talked about things, and, Deadline has a bunch of different updates on it, so we're going to go to what they have to say about Paradise Lost, which is just a Max live action series, which Peter Safran billed as a Game of Thrones-ish story about the Mascara, the home of the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. Is still in the works. No writer has been announced, which tells me that this just isn't a priority right now, and it's something that they're probably going to get to in the future, I assume. But, I hope for the best for the series, because I know this has to do with Wonder Woman, and we'll talk about this in a few, but I want Wonder Woman to be something where we have actual news about it before the end of the year, whether it's in production, whether it's casting. I just want to hear about Wonder Woman's being fast-tracked. That's all I want to hear this year, really. We need to get another member of the Trinity up there in production, so that after we get Superman next year with Man of Tomorrow, which we'll talk about, right? We know next year we have, 2028, the year following Man of Tomorrow, we have Wonder Woman relatively right around the corner. So also, let's just see what they have here. Viola Davis, Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker spinoff, the espionage director. It remains in the work despite a bumpy development road. So just like James Gunn said in August, which for reference, this article was in February 2025, just like the other article about Waller was in August 2025. It seems like, again, Waller is just struggling, just like Paradise Lost, which remains in my concern tier. Yeah, The Authority. Probably the most concerned I am for a DC Studios project. James Gunn, said something about this recently, which for reference, this is the article, kind of just doesn't inspire confidence about this movie, in my opinion, which I want it to happen, don't get me wrong. But this is what he had to say. We won't greenlight a film until we have a finished script we're happy with. And in general, we won't cast a film until the script is finished. This is why some projects are moving faster than anticipated and others more slowly. It's always going to be quality first, no matter what. Look, I agree. That's a good thing. Fantastic news. But for me, the fact that we haven't really heard anything since about March 2024 in regards to The Authority, at least according to the research I've done, it kind of just feels like this might be the one project with the least amount of movement. So I feel like, it's hard to say anything about the excitement about it. It's hard to say anything generally positive other than I hope it happens. I hope it comes into fruition. I hope they make the right script and they find the right director. And I just hope for the best for this project. So let's, I'm not even going to put it in concern. I'm going to put it in least anticipated, because it just feels like we might hear that it eventually gets canceled, at least in my opinion. So, Man of Tomorrow. Yeah. Come on. Can't wait. I'm so thrilled about this. I am thrilled. I'm not going to lie to you. I am very excited. I loved Superman. Superman is one of my favorite movies ever made as a superhero fan. And to know that we have a summer 2027 release date, it's right around the corner. Everyone's coming back. The big news is that Brainiac is being cast for the movie. And, the fact that we just have even artwork for it, I'm just excited to be back in that universe. I'm going to be excited to see those characters again. I'm excited that we're just going to, get such a quick turnaround time. Plus, it's hard to not get hyped when James Gunn posted a picture of the set. Like, we have a picture of David Corenswet back in the suit, back on set. They're already starting production relatively soon. Like, let's go. I'm in day one. You know what? I'm so seated already that I already got my ticket. The tickets are not even on sale, but I already purchased my ticket. We now have probably the one thing that we don't really have verified news about, which is Wonder Woman, right? There's a lot of rumors in terms of it might be in production, it might not be in production. It's going to be, moving fast. I know James Gunn has said a couple of quotes on podcasts in terms of like, they're working on it. They're already looking at it. They're trying to get Wonder Woman up and running. So because we have a little bit of quotes, I will rank this, and I'll just say at most, I am very interested. Very interested. I'll be probably in the can't wait tier once we get actual news. We get to hear who's directing it, we get to hear who's writing it, we get to eventually see who's going to be cast as Wonder Woman in the DCU, but we don't have a lot of, how do I say this? We don't have a lot of actual information that we could grasp onto when talking about the Wonder Woman in DCU, so let's just keep it at very interested. Sergeant Rock. I was initially very interested in this, right? Like, it was going to end up here for the most part, but we recently learned some news that has me putting it in concerned. And that news is the movie got scrapped, at least the original version of the movie, assuming it might get reworked into something else relatively soon, right? We've learned through the wrap that is no longer moving forward at DC Studios. We learned that Colin Farrell, already a part of the DC Comics universe, thanks to his role as the Penguin in Matt Reeves' The Batman, and the HBO spin-off series The Penguin, was in talks to play the title character after Daniel Craig dropped out. The issue, one insider noted, which really isn't that big of a deal, came down to scheduling. The film, which would require a lot of exterior shoots, needed to start production this summer and wasn't going to make its date. Budget didn't appear to be an issue. It was meant to come in under $70 million, which for a high priority comic book adaptation is a bargain. DC Studios had no comment. So, I guess what I could say here is that I hope DC Studios has been in talks with somebody and has eventually found a person that might be interested in Sergeant Rock. And if they do, give it to them. Like, if the script is ready, if they're happy with the script, they might have to make maybe small adjustments, right? And we have a director who's excited about the project and might be able to make something that gets fans excited, because everyone's reaction to this project has been, why are we doing this, right? Just go for it. Like, take the swing. Get whoever we can in the studio and tell them, look, you're good. We're doing Sergeant Rock. You got this. Good. Greenlit. Go into production. Let's have it for the 2028 slate. Let's do that. So, we've ranked and discussed every single DCU movie, and now we are left with a bunch of animated series and one live action series. Let's start with Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen, I am happy to say that I cannot wait for your show, okay? Here's what we know about the show per Deadline. There is a Superman spin-off series, DC Crime in the works. James Gunn will go on to say that that title just doesn't exist in the works at DC Studios and HBO Max. The series is billed in as being akin to a true crime docuseries, with Jimmy Olsen from Superman hosting, played by Skylar Gisondo in the summer blockbuster directed by James Gunn. Season 1 reportedly will be centered around DC bad guy Gorilla Grodd, who often wrestles with the Flash. Grodd had psychic powers and other skills after his encounter with an alien spaceship. The character was created in 1959 and has even starred in the former DC's Arrowverse, which was in the infamous episode where Gorilla Grodd went to go attack Barack Obama, but I digress. Point is, I love Jimmy Olsen. I think he was just such an unsung hero in regards to keeping us entertained throughout all the action-packed moments of Superman. I cannot wait for this. I will be watching this day one, and I cannot wait to be closer to this release because I just think it's going to be a fun time and I expect to laugh a lot. I expect this to expand on the DCU at large, and more importantly, I'm just interested in the idea of a true crime docuseries in a comic book universe. Blue Beetle. I'm not even going to waste your time. In fact, I'm going to do something unprecedented here. We are adding a row above. In fact, this is it. This is the plot twist. Something no one expected, I'm sure. Blue Beetle. Let's put him up there above the rest. Y'all know my excitement for this. Y'all know how much I'm excited and thrilled that Blue Beetle is coming back to the DCU. I'm so excited that Angel Manuel Soto has confirmed that the cast is coming back along with Xolo Maridueña. Y'all know how much this movie means to me, how much this character means to me, how much I adore the Blue Beetle comics. I will be there day one for this animated series. I love Blue Beetle. Y'all know this. This isn't a secret. This is by far the most anticipated movie, not even anticipated movie series, is my most anticipated superhero project at this very moment. I don't care. That's going to sound ridiculous. Yes, I'm excited for Doomsday. Blue Beetle is number one in my heart, and no one can change that. Green Lantern, the animated series. I am very interested. This is a part of a gigantic slate of updates we got from James Gunn, which I will just look it up to save us some time. My Adventures with Green Lantern will follow high school student Jessica Cruz, who has her life upended when, according to an official logline, a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky and chooses Cruz to be its champion. Things get even worse when more debris from the Lantern's ancient space war arrives along with their alien foes. Jake Wyatt is executive producing, and Stephanie Gonzaga is co-executive producer. Yeah, I mean, sounds like a cool idea. I love Green Lantern. I'm down for more Lantern stuff. And because of that, My Adventures with Green Lantern, I'm very interested in. And when we see more about his, animation and story and trailers and, just general marketing stuff, I'm sure I could say like, oh, I can't wait for this. But for now, I'm very interested in this. DC Superpowers is a part of the big slate. Let's see what they have to say. DC Superpowers takes place at the Alliance School for Heroes and focuses on new students Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, who level up their powers under the supervision of Principal Martian Manhunter in the hopes of one day graduating and becoming the next generation of Earth's defenders. Matt Beans is executive producing and Michael Chang is a supervising producer. Yeah, I mean, I am interested to hear more about this, right? Like, I think this is going to be something where I am just generally going to be the type of person that it depends on the trailer and the first look, and when we get to see its animation style, it really depends on those elements, whether I'll be able to be like, oh, I can't wait for this, rather than, I think this is cool, I'll watch it, I'll discuss it, I'll see how I feel about it as the series goes on, but, for now, I'll keep it in very interested. Starfire, a part of the rest of this article. Starfire serves as an origin for the fan-favorite title character, perhaps best known as part of the Teen Titans. The show follows her adventures after she uses an ancient spaceship she discovers on her home planet of Tamaran to escape her planet and explore the stars. Along the way, she'll meet space biker Crush, plant-loving Fern, and the magical Princess Amethyst of Gemworld, and together, they will uncover the deepest reaches of the DC universe, save space dolphins, surf technical color nebulas, and boldly soar into the unknown. Josie Campbell is executive producing, and Brianne Druhard is co-executive producing. I know, I murdered reading that. I tried my best. Don't criticize me. Promise me you won't do that in the comments down below. Trust me. Anyways, I am just based off the fact that this is probably going to play into Teen Titans in some way. I can't wait for this. Like, I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Starfire? Who isn't excited for this? I'm just thrilled about this in general. And more importantly, I'm excited to see more of world building, and I hope this plays into the DCU canon. Superpowers doesn't necessarily sound like it will, nor does My Adventures with Green Lantern. At least I'm assuming that it won't be DCU canon because My Adventures with Superman isn't. So I hope this is a canon, DCU relevant, important show that we need to watch for the Teen Titans, who I'm sure will get their movie eventually, hoping, right? And finally, we have Mr. Miracle, the animated series. And I am going to say that I Can't wait for this. In fact, I'm so excited about this that I'm going to put it upwards. I'm going to make sure it's next to Supergirl, Lanterns, and Man of Tomorrow because we actually know things about Mr. Miracle, and I've read the Tom King comic and I'm a fan of it, and I can't wait to see what this show looks like given a lot of the things Tom King has said recently. First and foremost, let's go back to the original article announcing this, which is just Tom King, who wrote the Mr. Miracle comics with Mitch Gerards, is showrunning and EPing this one, which is in production, although network remains TBD. The show comes after James Gunn's Creature Commandos, and for the most part, Mr. Miracle, which Warner said will tell the odyssey of main character Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle. It's based on the critically acclaimed and Eisner Award-winning 12-issue comic book series. No prison can hold him, says the logline. No trap can contain him. He is scot-free, the worldwide celebrity sensation known as Mr. Miracle. And he is the greatest escape artist who ever lived. But can he pull off the ultimate trick and escape death itself? Now, if that is not exciting enough, we have some new details from Tom King, as I mentioned, which are: he's written every episode and is the executive producer, just like the article said. Casting has already begun and there's a ton of roles to cast. Mitch Gerards is a producer of the Mr. Miracle series, and they're working on making the animation as good as the art in the comics, so it's pushing the limits of animation. And I want to make sure that I give a shout out. The person who got this interview was Comic Pop, known as Sal. He's done a bunch of things with a ton of YouTubers, such as the Comic Historian. He had this interview. It was amazing. I will put the link in the description. You should watch that interview. Without that interview, we would not have all this information. So shout out to Comic Book Pop. Appreciate you for that. So I think it's fair to say that this is where I stand with the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters Slate. This is my tier list. I'll probably put an image of this on social media after this video's out, but let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. Am I wrong? Do you find this video informative? Do you want more things like this where we talk about different projects and talk about verified information? I just want to see and get a general idea as to what you think about these types of videos. For now, we will leave it at that. If you want more comic book movie discussions, more movie trailer reactions, more daily YouTube shorts and live streams, or more, let me know in the comments down below.